I got some feedback from our January meeting. We have a lot of newer doulas, new to the co-op, new to being a doula. And every single educational meeting, except for one, this whole year is about business, because that is the single biggest question that we get all the time. Having said that, two things. It's hard to gear it, not knowing where people are coming from, where you are in their process. And it's always like drinking from a fire hydrant. So our you guys are so cute. I have to not be distracted by the chat. um I'm going to share my screen and we're going to jump in. And I'm really big on, hang on, I'm not going to share my screen. I am really, really big on jumping in when you need to jump in. So when I'm sharing, I may not see things. I don't know if it's because, okay, there we go. I don't know if it's because I'm a mom or what, but I don't really mind being interrupted. I'd rather have you stop me, just say like, hey, Jen, I have a question. We're also going to be doing some polls. And I do want you to know that this is going to kind of be an overview, but I'm also going to be sharing information. And the next thing I want you to know is any of the information I share here, I can send to you or share to you separately. So some of it I'll go through a little quickly, but just jump in and ask questions. This is also geared towards birth doulas a little bit more than others, but it's applicable to everyone. So I just asked you to do this. So JK, you don't have to do it again. So you've become a doula. Oh, hang on. I think I need to share a poll. There we go. So we're kind of all over, well, a little bit all over the place. So done training and looking to start, done training and have started, in training. So perfect. All right. So you're ready to go. I want you to repeat after me. If you have finished your birth doula training, if you have finished any of your doula training, postpartum, end of life, birth, right? You are a doula. So I need you to say to yourself, I am a doula. Once you finish the training, you're a doula. You are a doula. You can start, except, because there's always an except, right? How do I build my business? How do I get clients? So this is one part of you are a doula, except here's the thing. You join the co-op through an orientation. When you join the co-op, you engage in the Slack channels. Okay, our Slack channels are set up to really help. If someone hears about a client, if someone reaches out to me, I'm not an agency, so I'm not like giving doulas business, but I do get requests like, can you share this client's information with doulas? I'll share it. Other people will share it. Hey, if you're in Southern Nevada and you're postpartum doula, I have a client, blah, 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 sharing information. We connect with each other a lot in the co-op. The next thing you need to do to build your business and get clients, you have to name your business. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but you have to have a business to grow a business. Getting business cards, highly recommend doing that. And one thing you don't see on here is a website. I didn't put it on the list. Some people use Instagram or Facebook, just that for their business. I think a website's ideal. I'm also not going to tell you how to run your personal business because it's your personal business. I think there are pros and cons to having a website. I thought it was important. I've had one since 2011, but not everybody does it that way. But business cards for sure. If you are going to see clients, you're going to have clients and you're going to get paid for clients. you legally, and I highly recommend you have a contract. Does that need to be done by an attorney? Yes, if it's legal. Short answer. Yep, Sheehan, I'll get to that. That was awesome. Thank you. Yes, if it's you want it to be legal. No, not everybody does it that way. Will that get you into trouble? I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. There is a attorney that focuses on all things birth work and doula, who can help you with a contract. And she has a couple different ways she does that. So if you want to be really sure and go through an attorney and pay for that, you can. And then we have events. Sheehan has them in Southern Nevada. We have them in Northern Nevada. Not all events are created equal, and not all events are for everyone. And you should table every event you can. And there's two reasons why. One, volunteer hours aren't required with the co-op, but they are really, really appreciated and highly recommended that you do volunteer hours. So I'm always stoked when I'm not at a tabling event by myself. If you want to show up and just sit next to me and talk, that would be great. Also, you bring your business cards, the business cards that are two up that you already bought because you have the name of your business and you got your business cards, you hand them out. It is a way for you to build your business. So, two birds, one stone. And then the birth match program. I think I have a poll for this. Hold, please. All right, another poll. And look, Chris, I put in not applicable to doula type, just like because I want it to be good for everyone. So postpartum and end of life doulas probably don't need to have a birth, right? Okay, awesome. Um, this is great. So I have 4 people that want to that need their first birth. So you're somewhere you're in training or you finished training ideally, and you want to get your first birth. So I was creating a mentorship program for birth doulas, and it didn't work. It was a square peg in a round hole. Just didn't work. So what we decided to do is create a birth match program. What this means is if I get referrals from community partners like, hey, this person is looking for a doula, and they cannot find a doula to help them. So that could be because we don't have enough Medicaid providers, and so there's no doula that's available. Whatever the reason, I send that potential client an email that says, hey, we have brand new doulas. They have completed their training and need to get their first birth to certify. If you're interested, here are some names. Nicole, how many have we matched? 3 now?
I only know of one, but
Oh, we've sent out 3 or 4, right?
yeah, we've sent out a few, but
Okay.
only one person has let us know that they got hired.
Okay. So when we do this, basically you only get one birth through this. You get your first birth. One, because we have too many people who need them, and the other is that it's to certify in a specific program. I'll talk about that later, but we do have that option. So if you're interested in that, you need to reach out on Slack or to Nicole via email and let us know, hey, I need to get my first birth. I would like to try. There's not a guarantee, but we really try hard. Every time we get a referral where we can't match a potential client, we're doing that. And that is only for birth doulas right now. The other thing that you need, again, there's a loophole in this where you don't have to have insurance. So that's the reason I didn't put website and I didn't put insurance on this. But again, it's something I highly recommend. I've had it for years and I've never used it. I mean, it's like any kind of insurance. You have the peace of mind that you have it and you hope you never need to use it. And essentially that's what insurance is. But again, I'm not an agency. I can't tell you how to run your business, but I can let you know the pros and cons of having it versus not having it. Okay. This is where you're going to repeat after me. I will not be overwhelmed. I will not be overwhelmed because I'm going to go through some stuff pretty quickly. Also, I want to be clear that this was from my notes from several years ago. I've tried to keep it updated when I was going through the process. So I'm going to share a poll first and then I'll tell you my my brain. I'll tell you my brain after you do the poll. Oh, I love all these. Yes, check the boxes. Yes, check the boxes. Like it's like my love language, I think. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, that's what I wanted to do. So I am a list person, and this has served me well for lots of reasons. It's very satisfying, one, but also I do this. I start with a note. I'm an iPhone user. So if you're an Android user like my husband, who I'm married anyway, I don't know what you use in place of notes, but I start out with a note. And when it becomes like too big for a note, I turn it into a Google Doc. I'm very big into taking notes and sticky notes and writing notes and checking things off. Okay, so that's first. This is Northern Nevada specific. And I apologize. I didn't know till this afternoon that I was speaking, and I haven't done this in Southern Nevada. So I can share this resource with anyone. And obviously, it will be different if you're not in my county. If even if you're in Fallon, we've got doulas in Fallon and Carson. So this was my note that I started that became a Google Doc. And what's really odd is that a lot of the times these either become blog posts and or training documents because I take notes. If I send you this, when you're on this, and if you click this link, it's going to send you here. This is Silver Flume, where you sign up for a business license. Now, here's the thing you need to know that I don't mean to be overwhelming, but it is what it is. You're a doula, you've gone through training, you're going to see clients. That's called a business. And if you have a business in the state of Nevada, you need to have a business license. This isn't a hobby. If you're accepting money and you're taking clients and you are listing yourself and you've got those business cards, you're a business. And so some of this is mindset. This is a business, not a hobby. And the other thing is that you need to treat it like a business. So I won't go through this in super, super detail, but I am going to go through it. So first of all, you're on Silver Flume. You've gone to the link. You signed up. You created a username and a password, and you hit the new business checklist. If you click on this right here, the guide to starting and growing a business, it takes you to this PDF. This is awesome. So the biggest thing I think is the roadmap. You can click on any topic and it will take you to a link for that topic, from naming your business, business location, licensing, other licenses and permits. Now, it's amazing, and it doesn't always answer the questions you have. So I'll tell you the number one question that it hasn't answered well, that doulas are all trying to really figure out, that we do have an answer, I just don't like the answer, and we are trying to change the answer. But basically, they tell you, like, all these places over here, you can click on them and go. These are all places that support businesses. I would recommend, if it's not totally overwhelming, to click on them. The SBDC, which is the speaker that was going to talk tonight, and we'll have her on another time, They do scholarship programs. There was one that I did called Sprint to Scale a couple of years ago. They've changed the name of it a couple of times. The SBA has free programs too. So some of them, like you can scholarship for them or you can sign up and get on a waiting list. But then you actually go to this business development program through them and they help you. And SBDC was awesome. Um, Also for planning, this is for business plan. I've honestly never, I've had over 15 years in birth work. I've never created a business plan. I think it can be really helpful. More if you're trying to get a loan or if you're trying to be a nonprofit. There are certain ways that this is really important. I did do it through the SBDCA, the SB, whatever. SBDC, thank you. It was part of their program. I kind of did it low key. It can be super helpful. And then they have startup. This is the training where I said many groups offer training. There are the links. Networking, there are the links and tips. More tips to network. Networking basically gets the word out, right? Business relationships. So you can go through this like this is what it is drinking from a fire hydrant. There's so much information, you have analysis paralysis. So you have to do this in stages that feel comfortable for you. Some of these you'll click on, you'll know they're not for you. UNLV for Reno is not for us, right? And basically, it goes through naming your business, it goes through everything. Back to the checklist. I'm going to go through this like I'm signing up. Here's the other thing it tells you these are the things that you need on Silver Flume. Also, you can save your progress. So you don't need to be super stressed about it. If it asks for something that you don't have or you don't know what it is, you can save it and come back. Word of caution, sometimes 3 months passes when you save it to come back. So just again, that's why I sticky note myself. So here we are. I'm ready. I'm ready to start my business. Here's the checklist. What would you like to do? Most doulas, a lot of doulas are sole proprietors. So I'm going to click that. Which industry? Oh my gosh, I didn't even know I was in industry. Well, but I gave you this checklist with little screenshots. And here's your primary NAIS code. You didn't even know what that was, but now you do. What? Like I have it. And you put it in here, and that's what you are as a doula. So then you go to next. And number of physical locations, you're at home. Usually we're working from home, right? Do you plan employees? I'm going to push no because that, if you're having employees and other stuff, that is a much bigger conversation than this. Selling tangible property. Doulas generally do not sell anything except a service, right? We're service based. So I'm going to go through this process as if we're service based. If you also sell things, items, tangible products, different conversation. So I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say no. And then the checklist comes up, and this is where I can't keep going because I'm not actually starting a business. And this is one of the screenshots in the document that I'm going through. And you just go through it and it checks the boxes. It talks about licensing, business licensing. So this is your this is your business license through Silver Flume for the state. It's starting your business. It's showing that your business exists. You still, if you scroll down on this, you still have to, once you're in Silver Flume, after Silver Flume, you're going to the county clerk's office. You're going to the city office to get your city business license, county business license. So again, this is where it's going to deviate from if you're in Carson or Fallon or Vegas from me, because this is all Reno based. But if I share this with you, you'll be able to find whatever you need on this. You have to get a city license. You have to get county licenses. Department of Taxation on Silver Flume, where you said I'm not selling anything, that's Department of Taxation. It's nothing. You have to register, but it's nothing. And then you're going through the counties. I give directions to where you walk down the hall because I did it for myself because I get lost. I get lost in my driveway. And then other locations, like for us in Northern Nevada, you need a county license for every place you do business. And this is the thing that we would like to change, where people who, like, if you meet at if I'm living in Reno and I meet you at a coffee shop in Sparks, I need a Sparks license. If I drive down to Gardnerville, because that's where you are, or Carson, I need a business license in all of those. And it's literally overwhelming where you start looking at all of the business licenses. So I've talked to licensing to find out if we can get a multiple, uh like a group municipality license instead of doing everyone individually. It hasn't happened, and hopefully it will. That would be really groovy. But that's the only thing I think in licensing that is the really, this is a checklist, right? You're just going down the list and checking the boxes. It's like a sticky note or a checklist. You just go down and do it. This is kind of a summation of that because these are the fees. Again, it is in Northern Nevada, so it's going to be different where you're located. You're already a member of the co-op, and so here are some other options. And I'm gonna share another poll. I love them. So acronyms, the thing that all of us at the co-op try to remember is that to us, this is a Wednesday. To you, you've never heard this before, right? So you may not know what these things are, like second nature to all of us, but you've never heard them before. And so also, again, this is more geared towards birth. But okay. I'm going to go ahead and end it. It's really important for all of us on staff to remember that, like, this is the first time you've heard this and they mean a bazillion different things. I think I just go over it. Okay, so DAP. This is birth doula specific. DAP is the Doula Access Program. It's through Renown Hospital in Northern Nevada. This is part of why I created a tiered system, because if you don't live in Northern Nevada or you're not a birth doula, obviously you can't access this program. So we are considered, when you go through the training program, you're considered volunteer because you don't work for the hospital. Nurse extensions because we're considered part of the birth team. We're allowed in the operating room. We can get things out of closets. We're very involved and more integrated with the as a part of the care team at Renown Hospital. But there's one hospital in one location that this is at, and that's what DAP is. So this is kind of like a bird's eye overview of DAP. NCB, again, this is birth doula specific. NCB is Nevada Certification Board. And I know it's probably, this is the last poll. This is Medicaid specific. And one thing I wanted to make really clear is that you can be part of the co-op as a birth doula and be part of the doula access program and not be part of NCB or a Medicaid provider. Right now, birth doulas are the only ones who can be Medicaid providers. But this has been confusing for a lot of people. So awesome. So NCB is Nevada Certification Board. The only reason that you would ever go to the NCB website is because you're a birth doula who wants to be a Medicaid provider. That is the only reason that you would ever go to NCB. They're great. We are not NCB, but we know a lot about, I mean, I know a lot about them in the process. I'm on their board. I work with them. If you want to become a Medicaid provider, you kind of start with Nevada Certification Board. requirements. If you've had a scholarship, where part of the scholarship is that you're becoming a Medicaid provider, which this can be overwhelming. So I hired Edna. This is her beautiful picture right here. I just love her. And she does Medicaid workshops. Um, if you haven't heard about the Medicaid workshops and you want to become a Medicaid provider, then please reach out and let us know. There are several of them. You only need to sign up for one. And Edna helps go through the process of becoming a provider. And she just helps you through that whole process and assistance. Anyone can be part of the Medicaid workshops. Any birth doula in the state who wants to be a Medicaid provider can jump into the workshops. If you're still in birth doula training, I would say wait until you're done with your training. We have workshops through July or August, so there's no stress there. But there has been a lot of questions and confusion about all the acronyms. So I wanted to kind of sort some of those out and what this is. I get a lot of emails asking me to help with the NCB process, and I'm not NCB. So I don't mind that. I just direct them where they need to go. So we have other programs and we want you to be engaged. Like I said earlier, volunteering isn't mandatory, but it is so appreciated. And it helps you not only build your business, but it helps you to feel supported. So the education meetings are one way. Northern Southern Nevada, Reno, and Vegas have socials in person. Um, we have the Slack channel. We want you to be super engaged. I want you to feel supported all the time. I want you to feel like your questions are being answered. I know I have postpartum and end of life doulas. Thanks for hanging out with us, even though some of it wasn't applicable to you. Um, we try to gear everything towards all three doula types that we serve. And we honestly, like, we really, really, I love when people are reaching out via Slack or via email. We really do want to support you. Um, and now I want to open it up for questions and thank everybody for being here. So I've checked the chat sporadically, and I know that Nicole has also. Um, what questions? What are you stuck on? What parts are overwhelming? What do you think sucks? Sam, hi. You're on mute.
Hi.
Hi.
I think it sucks that we don't have accommodations for the different like state and local licensing
Ugh.
ridiculousness that goes on. It's like I can't uh, you don't understand what a doula does or what it takes to like run a small business like this, and I can't afford to have all of those licenses.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where like something needs to be done about that. We need the systems to become aware of doulas and make it comfortable, or like make avenues for doulas to exist in the systems.
I agree. And all non-medical providers are, I think, very similar in the sense that we don't have big clinics and stuff that we're working under. We're each all by ourselves alone. We're non-medical. We don't bill millions of dollars a year, all of that stuff. Because CHWs are the other non-medical provider type that they can be a Medicaid provider also. And they're doing home visits. They're everywhere. I mean, like, I know when we found out, like, you have to have a license in every single county and city that you work in. I was like, do you have one for all of Northern Nevada? Can I just pay one flat fee for all of Northern Nevada? Silver Flume is like your state license, business license. That's one thing that you have to do. And then cities and counties that you're working in fall under that. It is something that I want to change. Who else? Anyone else?
So, with me living in Henderson, right? Would I have to get a business like, I mean, would I have to get under the county and stuff in like Las Vegas? Is it
If
considered different between Henderson and Las Vegas?
if you're doing births there, yeah, Chris, go ahead.
If you, sorry to interrupt.
No.
Yes. So I live in Las Vegas, and for me to do business in Henderson, the city of Las Vegas, which is different than Las Vegas, right?
Whoa.
Um, North Las Vegas. So anywhere I go, and I think even I'm not sure about the incorporated areas, but yeah, you need a license for everything. Do I have a license for everything? No. But don't leave. I'm not, yeah, don't listen to that. Can we scratch that out of the recording?
I
Um,
think a lot of doulas don't, just because it's so absolutely
it's
overwhelming
it's expensive too.
and
Ugh.
it's expensive. And all I can say is I don't like the system either. I'm one person, one nonprofit trying to reach out and figure out, at least create like, okay, there's silver flume. I get it. Cool. And then wherever you live, can we just do one flat rate that would cover a larger area? Um, each county or city doesn't make as much off that. They don't all work together. They all work very individually. So that's been like nearly yes, it's a great idea and everybody would like it, and the cities and the counties aren't working together. Like we need the Reno city and also the Washoe County, and I'm like, why doesn't Washoe County covers Reno? Why does the city of Reno, but then Fallon and Fernley and Carson, like they are all individual. The system doesn't really make sense and it can get expensive, which this is probably, of the licensing, the most overwhelming part of it. This is my only caution, and we've had this happen where doulas are they go to do it. Like I really need to do this. I just really need to get my business licensing. And if they find out that you've been in business, they will back charge you. And I mean, I don't think for a small single person doula business they would, but they could shut down your business. So there are two downsides here. One, you need them, it's expensive and it's a massive pain and it's confusing, quite honestly. And if you don't do it, you can lose your business, which it doesn't make a lot of sense. When you're, if you, yeah, Vernita.
So, excuse me. So this is where my dilemma is. And it's kind of layers to it. So should I do like a one-on-one with you? I'll try and say something about it. So, I've been a doula since 2000. I mean, uh 2020. And when I became the birth doula, I have never charged any of my clients as a birth doula because they're mostly like family and friends and people I know. When I did the DAP program, I had to work with people that I didn't know, which was a great experience. But where I make my money is postpartum slash quote unquote nanny. That's why I go through an agency. So I've
Mhm.
never really stepped into like owning my business. I
Right.
because I make really good money as a newborn care specialist and a postpartum doula. That's where I make my money. All my birth work has been, I literally been doing it for free. And it's not like a bad thing because I do it for people I love and people I have a relationship with. Um, so I logged in because I'm trying to do the DAP program, where you get into the program at Renown, and I'm looking at the silver. What is it? Silver Flume?
Silver flume.
Yeah. So I did that when we started doing the Medicaid provider with the doula co-op in like 2023. Signed
Mhm.
up for all that, but I started the paperwork for the Medicaid, but what happened was I let the time lapse too long. So when I went to complete it, it literally got rid of all my stuff. And
Yeah.
I never went back to do it. And I just heard so many bad stories from it. So I never even pursued the whole Medicaid provider situation. So like my situation is kind of weird. So I kind of feel like I need more of a one-on-one. Maybe I can
Okay.
set it up with you.
Yeah, you can, but here's the thing. If you're doing only family and friends that are close and not charging, then you don't need a business license. But the second you are working like through the DAP
Yeah.
program or Medicaid, you have to have one.
Yes.
Because you're getting paid through it. And that's really smart to do the postpartum and the nannying through an agency. So it's their licensing, not
Yes.
yours. Right. Like I mean, I think you've done it well. I would also caution, not that you've done this, but just caution people out there, especially because the first birth program that we have, if you're getting your first birth, it's a $0 to $600 charge that the doula and the client have to figure out between them. But when you are a practicing doula and you are charging really low prices, you're undercutting every other doula around you, and people will get upset about that. We, when I got back into being a birth doula years ago, I went and looked at everybody's prices and I set mine accordingly. So you don't have to keep them exactly the same as everybody else's, but if Sam's been a doula for a while here and she charges $1,500 and I come in and I charge 900, and people that are doing a consult with Sam and with me go with me because I'm undercutting her, that creates bad business. So when you start to see clients outside of that first birth program that's very specific and they're not family and friends, because look, I didn't charge my daughter who had her baby in December and she was medicated and I'm a provider. Didn't happen. That did not get processed. So that's fine. Just a word of caution that doulas who are working really hard in your area to build business and make a living get real upset about that. But that brought it up, Vernita, because you said something else. Yeah, you will have, bottom line though, is you have to have your business license through Silver Flume and City of Reno, because Renown is City of Reno. You'd have to have Washoe County, City of Reno, Silver Flume always first, and then Washoe County and City of Reno. One thing that I did to mitigate this is that I had my licenses in Sparks, Reno, Washoe County, and I'd only meet there. If I'm meeting you in person, I only meet there. It threw in a wrench when I had my first client at Carson Tahoe, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in another county. And I really had to make a decision because I was willing to travel an hour and a half from Reno. And that's Fallon, that's Gardnerville and Dayton, that's Carson City. And I realized that although I was willing to have clients there, I was not willing to travel there and do the meeting. So to Hannah, your question, if you offer virtual service, I am pretty sure, and I cannot answer this legally 100%. She said, if you offer virtual services, but the client is in Carson, would you still need that Carson City license? I don't think so. No, it's where you are located and where you are with virtual. And I'm pretty sure with telehealth, that's the same because Medicaid allows us to bill for telehealth. So, but I'm not going to 100% say that. I'm pretty sure it's your location, not their location. So you'll have to get confirmation. And Devonna, your question's great. What is the price I should charge? I can't answer that. You're all individual businesses. I'm just letting you know where there's sometimes friction in a new business. When people really charge low, that can tick other people off in the area. And yes, Nicole is right. Look at all of the people in your area, the websites, see what people are charging and go off that. That's how I did mine. Sam says our recommendation is to get a feel for the average fees of doula in the area and work your way up to it in your first 10ish births. So yeah, that's another thing. When you're less experienced, you can offer, you can even post it on your website. My first 10 births at a reduced rate. So it's very clear that you're a new doula, and that to start your business, and get clients, but don't keep undercharging. Yeah, do it for a specific amount of time. Yeah.
I like the model of doing it like my first 5 births, I'm doing at a 30% off rate. So, like, imagining yourself charging a full price that is somewhere around the doula prices in your area and being like, okay, first 5 births I'm doing at like 30% off. And you can say that as one of your promoting things as your new doula, like social marketing. Like, I'm doing the first several births so that I can gain skills and you can have an accessible doula. Like, let's work together. That's awesome. And then as you go, next 5 births or the next 3 births are like 20% off. Then the last 2 births are 10% off, and then it's like you cap it, right? Because like you also will be expending yourself probably more. You're gonna actually find the balance probably tips in the opposite direction where you're giving much more in the beginning and finding a way to find boundaries and give less but charge more because you're realizing the value of what you're giving is so much as well, right? Like you're going to play with it, and you can also always be accessible by offering when you see need and when you're experiencing that in communication with clients the option to do sliding scale or payment plans, or but you should be charging in a way that allows you to do that sustainably when it comes around by resourcing from community and getting paid full price by people who can pay you. That will like create essentially scholarships for other people to have your services. So, new
Sam,
models.
you did a couple really important things. One was offering scholarships. So I had a scholarship program in private practice where you're not Medicaid, you don't qualify for it. So you're a self-pay client who really feels like they can't afford it. And I had a scholarship application people could fill out. So I wish Carly was here because we were on a meeting recently and someone said it in a very specific way. But basically, how much are you willing to give per year? So you can give, I gave one free or reduced birth per quarter, period. So there's that option. Charge full price, you're worth it, and you need to realize that you're worth it, and then offer exceptions. I also did like 3 $500 payments, or if you pay all at once, I gave you a 10% discount. So it was $1,500, 3 $500 payments, or pay all at once for $1,350. And I only had 2 people ever out of the last 50 that did a payment plan. They all paid me 100% because they wanted to save the $150. And also, Sam points out another really important thing. The burnout rate is high. You're going to do a 48-hour birth. End of life and postpartum, you're going to be doing like a full 8-hour night shift. You're going to be sitting vigil for someone. You're giving a lot of your time and emotion and bandwidth to this. It's totally worth it, and we love it. And if you don't set those boundaries Sam was talking about, you're going to burn out. And one of them is getting paid. That is one way that you offset how much you give, is getting paid. So yeah, your time is really valuable. So just be sure you have a plan. But that was a great tangent off of Vernita's comment. Yes, that was totally a tangent. But then like what Vernita has done, she's I love you. She takes limited births. When I send people to her, I'm like, I always tell them like she is really particular about the amount of births she takes. Like if you can get in with Vernita, then you're lucky she let you. But I didn't know that that was why. So a lot of the times we start out with family and friends, right? Because they know us and trust us and they know what we're going through and they want to. So that is one of the first things you can do, is like try to get your family and friends pregnant so you can get a birth. What else have we got? Are people feeling overwhelmed? Do you feel like it's a little bit more clear at all? Okay. We're here to support you on all of this. And I wanted to share enough that it seems not overwhelming and not too much. Sam, jump in.
Sorry, yeah, I just realized also every time I come off of mute, you start to hear yourself, don't you? There's something happening with my computer. I'm sorry about it. But I actually have a great resource called the Doula Business Workbook, Guide Workbook. If you've never seen it, it's for all types of doulas, birth and death alike. And it's Patty Brennan. She's got also some online resources, and it's a workbook. If you love a workbook and you have to like get down and write a journal prompt about your mindset about business and then check mark boxes around like the checking off your business structure, like the scaffolding that will help you. Like, remember, you need to do mileage tracking, you need to do accounting, you need to like manage your files. She kind of has some good tools for that online and in a workbook version. So that can be nice because it's like I feel like I leave these things like knowing that I know more, but also not having like a structure, like a checklist. You said you like I have so many sticky notes lying around. So it's just a feeling of like being able to ground it in and have something to hold on to.
I love the workbook myself because it feeds that. I love a good workbook. I didn't go over other things, and one of the things is, and Sam just touched on it, how many things you can write off. If you're a sole proprietor, you do not have to. It's not like legally, you don't have to have a separate bank account. It's easier to have a separate bank account for business versus personal, but only if you use the right debit cards for the right thing. Like if you are constantly using your personal anyway, you have to make that decision. For an LLC, you do need to have a separate business checking account. You have to bring your LLC information into the bank because it's a separate setup. So again, you guys need to decide that stuff if you want it, but there are tons of things that you can write off. I'm actually going to find my note and show it to you really quickly. I start one every year. So this is my 2026 taxes, and I copy paste this every year, and I have it separated out because I know over the years what I've used. So obviously miscellaneous is like, it doesn't go anywhere. Training's pretty self-explanatory if I take any class. Also in my email, I have a folder that says business invoices. And usually I ask for things to be emailed to me. And so I just put them in that folder. But what I do is I put that in the folder and I write it on here. So this coffee food, like I write it as I go throughout the year. Every time I go to a coffee shop or any lunch or anything that is business related, I write the name of the place and how much I spent. And then I send that email into my biz invoices. Office supplies, subscriptions. Wait, let me go down further first. Annual recurring expenses. These are the things that I need to auto pay that are due. Like Kappa is odd years. I don't have anything in these months. This is like anything website related, anything business related, I do. And then these are subscriptions that I have been able to write off through the LLC. And I mean, Acuity is my calendar scheduling. Adobe, I edit PDFs all the time. So like you can Canva, obviously, the Google storage, my Google email, my Apple storage. I run a podcast and it's underneath my LLC. So anything podcast related, I do. And I keep track of this. And then at the end of the year, I copy paste it onto a Google Doc and I clean it up and I download it for my CPA. Sam?
You said that you'll like have emailed receipts or invoices sent to you, but when you're like doing your business, like coffee dates or things, are you snapping pictures of those receipts if you're taking them on your personal account, or are you buying that all on your business card, or how are you? I know that you only really need the receipts from like those types of things if you're going to be audited, because you're really just giving like what is your business expense. But I hesitate to do it without having saved those receipts. So, what do you, is there an app for that? I'm sure there is.
I don't have an app. I literally use my note, but I have every coffee shop set up to, when you pay, it says text me the receipt. I do email the receipt every time. And, in Reno, I go to the same places. So they recognize my business card, but my bank card, or I will type in my phone number to earn rewards, and it automatically emails it to me. So I switched everything to email to me because I didn't want an app. And yeah, I mean, it was just easier. Yeah. Also, QuickBooks has a free version for sole proprietors that I've used QuickBooks. I didn't want to go that route. A lot of people do. There's also like HoneyBook. I know Tiara uses HoneyBook. Yeah, there are a lot of things. I used to pay for 17 Hats, which is it's a CRM. Basically, it manages all of your clients. So you put your client's information in and you keep notes. So if I was ever audited on a client, I have all the notes from that client. I did the free version and the paid version. One thing that I paid for that I am super glad I paid like $7 or $8 a month for was Mile IQ. And that's an app on your phone. It tracks every time you drive. And when you stop your car, it asks you swipe like left for business and right for personal. And at the end of the year, I would just download all the business, Mile IQ. It's amazing. Because your mileage counts. Having said that, with coffee and food and mileage, and like you can also write off a percentage of your home because you're a home-based business. That's something. So those three things are all capped. So food, mileage, writing off a percentage of your home. And that's something that I have a CPA. I've used a CPA for 20 years. I hate doing taxes, and so I don't do things that I don't like except clean the toilet and stuff. I try not to do things I don't like that I'm not great at, and taxes are one of them. So for me, it's been worth paying $125 a year to know that I didn't miss any write-offs and that I'm claiming everything. And it's been worth the money that I've spent, but that's my situation. There is a percentage of that. So like if I spend $5,000 on meals, but my cap is 2,000, I'm only going to write off 2,000. Like you can't write off more than the allowed amount. But those are things like mileage was a big one. A percentage of your house as an office is a big one on taxes. If I go out to coffee with you, well, you guys are all like doula people, but if I go out to coffee, we are talking about something doula business related because I am writing off my coffee. You kind of figure out, can you write off your toilet paper? No, you just took it too far. But anything that you can write off, you're going to want to write off. So you can probably do a Google search on how to write things off. Any supplies that you use, your birth doula bag, the shoes that you get for the hospital, like you have to keep track of all of that. Like anything you can think of that you use that's for business. I wrote off like Spotify. And I told all my clients, like, create a Spotify list and share it with me because I pay for Spotify. You don't need a commercial interruption during labor. That is the last thing that you want to have happen. So I use Spotify all the time during labors for client playlists. I wrote it off, and I use Spotify every single day for myself. So just try to think out of the box. Nicole, thank you. Think out of the box. Do a Google search on things you can write off as a sole proprietor. There's a lot, and that was one of the rabbit holes that I didn't put on the slides because it's a lot. But Yoselin, I use the same type of sling for all my babies, and I bought a new one for every one of my babies, and I put it in their little hope chests, and now some of them are using their slings that I carried them in for their babies. Anyway, side note, sorry. Anything else? We're 1 minute over. I'm respecting everyone's time, but also want to make sure that everyone got questions answered. Reach out. Connect with us. Ask questions. Like, do not hesitate. This is not easy. You've never done it before. What would you tell a client who had never had a baby, who had never experienced death and dying? Like, there's no stupid question because you've never done that and you don't know what you don't know. We don't even know what to ask sometimes. So please, guys, just connect as much as you can. We're going to keep the series going. I would say show up and be overwhelmed. It's not a bad thing to not know or to not have things be applicable. Some of it will be more intense and not relate to you, and some of it will be great. And if you just get a nugget where you just see familiar faces that adore you, like, worth it, right? So just keep showing up.